Okay, we appear to be live. Again. Hopefully. I like... No idea what happened there. No clue what happened there. We are officially back, though. For now. Let's see, are we on? Okay, yeah, we are back. Good. Good. That wasn't a power outage. Are we on? Okay. It wasn't a power outage. I don't know what happened. YouTube or OBS or something was just like, you know what? I'm gonna stop working, and you're not going to be live anymore. And the stream connection went from a solid green to literally zero. Literally zero. Are we back on Kick? Are we back on Rumble? Are we back officially? Yes, we are. Okay. That was strange. Alright. I guess we can just continue where we left off. Like, literally on the same frame and everything. I'm gonna rewind just a little bit here.
Testing, move! No, you won't come on the road. No, you won't. No, you won't. I'll tell you where you're going. You won't go where you're going.
The fact that people just simply being patriotic, waving the Canadian flag, needs that much of a police presence, that should be very alarming and should tell you the current condition of this country. Like seriously. They can't even go around waving the country's flag without people harassing them and trying to assault them or battery or whatever. That's bad. That's how you know the country is absolutely fallen apart. And she walks away completely defeated. That was a Karen v. Karen right there. Hold on, we gotta go all the way back. That was Karen versus Karen. And the Canadian patriotic Karen won. That's wild. That is wild. Blue hair. Blue hair. Hell yeah, go catch your $100, blue-haired Karen.
Catch your $100.
out for fun here, or you just like? Yeah.
Like, see what that's about.
But if they hit us, right? This is the question. It's a young kid.
You should not be here. You can do it. You should leave it to us. We fucking
Oh my god, could you imagine? Can you imagine being Canadian and protesting something that happened in the United States? And and protesting ICE in the United States. ICE is going out of its way to deport people, obviously. That's their job. Here in Canada, they have deported, apparently, according to the government, so take it with a grain of salt, but apparently they have deported thousands of people, and you don't see these very individuals outraged and crying about that. It's only when Trump does it. Is it a massive outrage? Is it something we should pay attention to and cry about? Turn a blind eye to what Mark Carney is doing. They're all hypocrites. They are all hypocrites. Each and every fucking one of them. I accidentally clicked on a video to the side as I was going on my little rampage there. Hold on, let me go back to where we were. Yeah, I agree. I agree. The rallies, yeah. They block people from commuting. They block people from, like, people who just simply are living their day-to-day lives. Yeah, I absolutely agree. 100%. Sadly, the police don't have enough power to, like, really move them off the road. Unless it's against the Liberal government, then they'll just bring in the RCMP to trample over everyone. But in cases like this, I don't know. Like, obviously, they're free to rally and protest and fucking do all the shit they want to do, but I personally don't have the energy for this kind of shit. To go out there screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, I care about the country and all, but I really don't think you're making that much of an impact with this stuff. Like most people look at this and kind of just go, yeah, I agree, but what are you gonna do about it? I don't know. Right? Just saying, at the end of the day, right? Like, they're free to do this, but what is it really doing? Is it really making that much of an impact? Like, I'm not trying to hate on it and shut it down or claim that it's not doing anything, but if it is making a massive impact, what is it actually doing? Just an honest question. I don't know. I see all rallies and these kind of things as sort of the same, right? It's just a bunch of people running around yelling. Left or right at the end of the day. The left just tends to be a lot more violent. And the things that they yell and scream about typically are incredibly stupid. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I just see all rallies as it's just commotion. It's just an annoyance for the police to have to deal with constantly every fucking weekend. It does nothing. I agree. And if there's somebody out there that thinks this is doing something, I would love to know. Like, is it bringing attention to your cause and your ideals? Sure. But do people actually care enough to like... I don't know. I'm just being real at this point, because I could have gone to Toronto. I could have drove out there or taken the train out to Toronto. Fucking paraded around with the lads. But, like, honestly, what good is it accomplishing? I don't know. Like, in the grand scheme of things, there's just so much going on, and the politicians realistically don't give a shit about the concerns. Like, the conservatives probably do to some extent, but unless they get that majority, they're not gonna fucking be able to do anything. And minority parliament over the past 10 years has made that quite obvious. They need a majority, and they need a big majority too, not just by like 1 or 2 seats. Because we've already seen the snake-like behavior that has come from Michael Ma, Chris D'Entremont, and potentially others. I don't know, right? On both sides of the aisle. Politicians are scummy. Politicians are absolutely scummy. And as much as I want to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm gonna back the conservatives and vote for the conservatives, I'm gonna bash the liberals and call it the liberals, at the end of the day, they just want the best interest for themselves. And Michael Ma and Chris Doncherma proved that. For Michael Ma to sit there and go, I am a hardcore conservative, for then literally 10 hours later to flip to the liberals, how many more are like that? One day they're saying, oh, I'm a hardcore conservative, and then the next day they're flipping like that? I don't know. Just saying, like, they don't have the interest in the people, clearly. Once again, maybe some conservatives actually do. I like to think people like Larry Brock and Andrew Lawton and Jamil Giovanni and Pierre Poilievre, they actually care. They actually have the best interest, but at the same time, who are they surrounded by? What are their actual motivations? What is their true agenda? And I don't know. Nobody truly does. And clearly the MPs that are currently in these seats don't even know if they're switching on a fucking dime like that. Just saying. Like, these are things we really need to think about. Do they have the best interest? Or are they just doing it for themselves? I think most of the time they are just doing it for themselves. Just being real. 5 to 10 seat majority. Yeah, they need a big lead. And once again, people like Michael Ma and Chris Doncherma have proven that. They literally have proven that. Right? The progressive conservative side of the conservatives, I don't think is as conservative as people like to think. And I know what I just said there was a mouthful. But the PC side of the conservatives, we need to remember back in, what was it, the 90s or early 2000s, it was the Reform Party and the PC Party. And they came together to form what is now the Conservative Party. And I'm not bashing it or anything, but there's clearly progressive conservatives in that sphere that aren't as conservative as people like to think they are. And I'm going to point to Doncherma and Ma once again as the very examples.
Unless they really, really need help, we shouldn't let anyone from the country that costs the country more than they're giving back to the country.
We're not against immigration at all. We would like quality immigrants because they've been infiltrated by career criminals from every country in the world claiming asylum or refugee status, and they have no education. They don't speak English, and they've literally been career criminals for generations. And now they're in Canada. Their crime rate has exploded. 125% increase in minor children's rapes in just 2 years. 300% increase in carjackings and home invasions. So what I'm saying is, give us the immigrants, but don't give us the criminals and the retards, because we have enough of our own. Thank you very much.
Come to Canada, act Canadian, be Canadian. We have our own values here, we don't need yours. We're a Christian value country. And basically, you know, if you're going to come here and you want your Muslim values and all that, that's fine. You got mosques for that. You don't need to come and block our roads and pray on our roads. That's disrespectful. And it's just assimilate. Be Canadian. When I came here, I didn't need no one to tell me what to do. My parents didn't need no one to tell them how to assimilate, how to be Canadian. Right? That's it. That's what we want from everybody. Don't come here and have 5 kids because we're going to pay for it. Have 5 kids because you could afford it, not because our government's going to pay you for it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. But that's sadly not the mentality. And Canada is so forgiving. And we're so relaxed and complacent here that I don't know. I think I'm having a bit of a doom day today. A bit of a black pill day today. And I absolutely hate nihilism and being black pilled, but I don't know, man. It's just the last few weeks have been very eye-opening, I feel like. As I said in the first part of the stream before I was briefly cut off, The left is full of lunatics and unhinged people, and the right are eating each other alive just to prop up themselves or slingshot their careers forward more. Like a literal crabs in the bucket scenario. And I don't know at this point, man. Yeah, we are too nice. We are way too forgiving. We are willing to be treated poorly one too many times, and it's eventually too late before we actually take action to some extent. I don't know at this point. I don't know. I don't know.
How do you feel?
Anyway, Greenland, a very, very big talking point. Everybody's freaking out. Donald Trump is gonna buy Greenland. Donald Trump is gonna become the president of Venezuela, and the president of Greenland, and the president of China, and the president of Russia, and he's gonna become the president of the EU. And people are just losing their minds, and it's kind of just sad and hilarious at this point. I understand the defense aspect of like wanting Greenland. Once again, I'm not American or a part of Greenland, so I don't really think my opinion matters at the end of the day. But it definitely is interesting to talk about because we are obviously attached to the United States. Greenland is essentially our neighbors to the northeast, if you want to call them that. Whatever. So it is an interesting thing to talk about. I'm just so tired of people constantly saying like Trump is just gonna fucking just become the leader of everything. I think people give him way too much. Like, they think he's the God Emperor. They literally do. I don't know how else to put it. The left has built him up to be this literal God Emperor. And I'm sorry, he's just not. Like, so many presidents previous to him have pretty much done these very things he's doing. He's just taking it to more of a harsher extent. Because the previous administration, their lack of care was so extreme. The Biden administration did so much damage to that country. Trump has to go to the extremes he's going to try and fix things. And whether you agree with it or not, whether you like what he's doing or not, I don't think it really matters, right? He's going to do what he's going to do. And the people around him are going to tell him to do what he's going to do. And that's just how it's going to roll. That's just how it's going to roll. That's just how I look at it. As a Canadian, it doesn't really matter what I think. I'm having microphone issues. I could see on the side here, the volume is like bouncing up and down a lot. Like it's not stable. I've been looking at getting a new microphone. This thing's been causing me some issues. This thing has been causing me some major issues recently. Been having to do a lot of retakes. Been coming out sounding sort of auto-tuned at moments as well. I don't fucking know what's going on with this microphone. He should, honestly, if Trump takes over Greenland and becomes a part of the United States or whatever, the outrage is going to be so funny. It honestly is. Like, these people are so unhinged. But it's also very dangerous, right? Because we've seen what's already happened. We've seen what's happened back during his campaign when they took a pot shot at him. And we saw what happened with Charlie. So what becomes comedic eventually becomes a very dangerous reality because they are so unhinged. These people are not well in the head. They just aren't. They just aren't.
How do you feel about the United States potentially buying Greenland?
I don't want to be American. No more Danish.
Trump cannot buy Greenland.
Is Greenland for sale?
Today I am here in Nuuk, Greenland. I will be asking the Greenlanders here how they feel about potentially becoming part of the United States. Donald Trump recently has been very persistent about the idea of making Greenland part of the United States, saying that the United States needs Greenland for national security purposes. Currently, Greenland is an autonomous territory of the Denmark Kingdom. However, Most recently, the Prime Minister of Greenland has said that he wants to seek independence from Denmark, making this situation even more interesting. Greenland has key trading routes in the Arctic Circle for countries like Russia, China, Canada, the United States, making Greenland a pivotal spot in the talks of geopolitics. And this is not the first time the United States has tried to buy or acquire Greenland. In 1946, after World War II, the president at the time tried to buy Greenland for $100 million. So it's going to be super interesting to hear the opinions of the people here in Greenland about becoming part of the United States. I'm going to make another deal with you guys. If this video gets to 10,000 likes, and it turns out nearly 75% of you guys watching this video right now are not subscribed, so go ahead and subscribe, and if we reach 350,000 subscribers...
Yeah, so by the way, this is an old video. Okay, I gotta double check if this thing's running properly.
Subscribe, and if we reach 300...
I'm gonna do a quick rewatch. This is an old video. Okay, I gotta double check if this thing's running properly. Okay, sounds alright. I don't know what's going on with OBS today. I think it's having some problems, but anyway, this is an older video from 11 months ago, but like I said, it is still very relevant today as this conversation is happening once again.
subscribers, I will go to the Panama Canal. Now let's go talk to the people.
I'm gonna go grab some water.
How do you guys feel about becoming part of the United States?
It's good.
Would you rather be a part of the United States or Denmark?
United States.
And you? United States or Denmark?
United States.
What makes you guys excited about potentially becoming a part of the United States?
McDonald's.
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 We want fast food.
Do you think it's just a power grab by Donald Trump trying to buy Greenland?
Donald Trump and Putin in one box, and thank you.
How do you feel about the United States potentially buying Greenland?
Greenland's not for sale. It's their own country, so it cannot be bought.
So is Greenland a country or a territory?
Today it's an independent country, but it's it's a part of Denmark today. But the law says it can be independent whenever they want to.
Okay, so it's up to the people of Greenland whether or not they want to be a part of Denmark.
Yes, it is. It is. But for now, there are some economical problems by leaving Denmark totally, because it's a very expensive country to drive. Everything is expensive here, so they need some support from Denmark.
Do you think Donald Trump would be ruining the United States' reputation with NATO if he went against Denmark and bought Greenland?
To imagine an armed conflict between two NATO countries, that is not. I cannot imagine that. That's totally crazy.
Is Greenland for sale?
No, we don't want McDonald's here. He will take all our resources from our nature and just use it for money. Greenland is only for Greenland.
But you guys are controlled by Denmark.
In some part.
Are you guys worried about being invaded by the United States?
Kind of. Maybe he's just saying it to scare us, to make it easier to buy us.
And how much would you sell your citizenship of Greenland for?
No, I don't think you can put money. You can't put money on it.
So say you could have dual citizenship, so you could be a citizen of Greenland and the United States. How much money would you need from the United States to give up your country, essentially?
No, because we are not for sale. And if we get the money, he will get like the ruling of our country, and then he'll ruin our country.
How do you feel about Donald Trump in the United States buying Greenland?
Well, I didn't know you could buy a country. You know, it's everyone talks about it. It fills a lot of the media here. And
do you think it'd be good for Greenland to leave Denmark and become part of the United States?
I don't know.
What does Denmark do for Greenland?
I think they do support it quite a lot financially, and there's a lot of opportunities. You know, education. Young people get the opportunity to come to Denmark and get free education, which is crazy, right? For an American, that must sound mental.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to beat that, but
no. You're freezing, huh?
Yeah, I am freezing.
You need a hat. You can just borrow this. Here, take this, and I'll
sure. Look at this guy. Look, dude, we should become citizens, become residents.
So
become
you staying here? You stay.
Good or bad idea for Greenland to become a part of the United States?
USA and Greenland, I think it's okay. It's good.
Is Greenland for sale?
No, definitely not. And it will never be.
What if Donald Trump does buy Greenland somehow, some way?
He won't. Greenland is for the Greenlanders. and we don't want to be twice colonized.
And remember these two girls, as we will talk to them later in this video about how China has made their own attempts to gain territory inside of Greenland. Do you think Donald Trump will buy Greenland?
No, we are not for sale, but understand him fully that he's protecting our right to self-determination. And he said he will tariff Denmark if they don't respect it. So that's very good for Greenland. Denmark threatens us with taking away our right to health and education.
Really? So you wouldn't be that mad if Donald Trump did buy Greenland?
He can't. But we will certainly cooperate with the United States. We already do.
How much would you bet that Donald Trump does not buy Greenland?
My fortune.
Your fortune? What would you say the probability is that he buys it? Like 10%, 20%? Zero. And now, if you guys watching this video right now want to bet on whether or not Donald Trump will buy a piece of Greenland, you can do it on an app called Kalshi. They are the pinned comment down below. Check them out at kalshi.com.
I'm trying to think of this. Can he realistically buy Greenland? Like, I don't know. I don't think that's something you could just do. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong here, but like, when he says buy Greenland, I don't actually think he means in the literal monetary sense, but unless Greenland sells off a piece of its land, like I don't think that's what he actually means when he, like, a lot of the rhetoric he says and the things he does it because it pisses people off, specifically the left, right? So I don't know, man. Like, he said the same thing about, like, buying Canada. Like, I don't think you can actually buy a country, right? He's just doing it because it very quickly riles people up, brings the attention right over to him. I don't know, though. Unless there's some business mastermind out there that can prove to me otherwise, that they can literally fucking buy a country, then sure, but I don't think so.
.com/Nick. You guys can make a bet as to whether you think Donald Trump will buy Greenland or not. This guy does not.
You could buy investments in the country, right? Like, you could do that. You could put money to invest in it, but I think of, like, actually acquiring it through a transaction, I don't think that's a thing.
I think that Donald Trump will be able to buy Greenland. However, I think other people are a little bit more skeptical that Donald Trump and the United States will buy a piece of Greenland.
Okay, we have, everyone has a different opinion, so that's also good for the democracy.
It is good for the democracy. You're a smart man. Go check out Kalshi, and now let's continue with this video so go and talk with more people.
I don't want to be American. I don't want to be Dane.
So what do you want to see happen with Greenland?
I think it's natural what's going on. We've been working for self-determination for many years. We have experienced some pressure from the coming president from US, but that should not shock us. That should not shake us in our work and wishes to realize our self-determination. So it's not about Denmark, it's not about the US, it's about Greenland. Our problem is that we are situated geopolitical in the middle of two big superpowers.
Greenland could be looked at as a very vulnerable country, as there's only 57,000 citizens here.
But it doesn't matter how few or how many we are. This is our country, and it has been, we have taken care of this long before any people could live here.
Yeah.
That's part of our heritage, and we have our rights.
In the past 4 years...
Wow, I did not know that there is roughly only 57,000 people in all of Greenland. That is actually kind of interesting. And the capital alone has roughly 19,000 of them. That is like nothing in terms of a population. That's kind of crazy.
The United States has given over $200 billion to countries like Ukraine, Israel, whether that be through military aid or financial aid.
The average city here in Canada has more than that, and our total population here in Canada is equal to California. Just to, like, put things into perspective here. They have 57,000 people total. That is not a lot. It is not a lot at all.
$200 billion.
If Greenland were to be invaded, they would get steamrolled.
A lot of money. Yeah. So that goes to show that we have a lot of money. If Donald Trump were to offer you guys $5 billion, and you guys have 57,000 residents here, each resident would get around $100,000. Would you guys become United States citizens for $100,000?
No, I think not. Not me.
Why do you think Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland?
The reason that I believe that he wants Greenland is because of the military use, that because of the Arctic. He claims that there is a lot of Russian and Chinese activity, which is why he's very interested. But also, if I'm correct, territorial expansions.
How much money would you sell your citizenship of Greenland to the United States for?
I wouldn't. I'm very proud of my cultural identity, and I believe that one day we're going to become independent.
What if the United States worked out a deal where they are able to liberate Greenland from Denmark, and you guys were able to be independent, yet the United States military could still be here in Greenland and expand, and they could also mine in the other places where there are natural minerals? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
No. No.
You don't want the United States here at all?
No.
What do you think about Donald Trump wanting to buy Greenland?
I think it's a joke.
It is interesting as somebody who's from the United States because he did campaign on a lot of things, but he never brought up the idea of buying Greenland or taking over the Panama Canal, so it's kind of a new idea right now. Why do you think Donald Trump wants to take Greenland?
I think it's only because of the base, Thule base, because he's afraid of somebody's going to use it if they're not.
Would you feel more secure knowing that you have the largest military in the world, that being the United States?
No. I don't want the military in Greenland. We don't have anything to do with war, and we will never have something to do with it.
So are you worried that if Donald Trump does buy Greenland, war could...
He cannot buy Greenland, I'm pretty sure.
And what would happen if the military of the United States did show up here on your shores? What would the reaction be of the Greenlanders?
I think people is going to be afraid because, like I said, Greenland have nothing to do with war, and we will never have something to do with war.
The Prime Minister of Greenland did say he is ready to talk with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Does that concern you at all?
Not at all, because he's only saying it so if they want to expand on the Thule, because it's already written that they can expand and do what they want up there. So I'm not afraid of that.
Okay, so you're not afraid, even though your Prime Minister said he's ready to talk?
No, I'm not afraid.
Say the United States offered to buy Greenland for $5 billion. That would give you around $90,000 or upwards of $100,000. Would you become a United States citizen for $100,000?
No, I wouldn't.
How do you feel about the United States wanting to buy Greenland?
It's ridiculous.
And why do you think it's ridiculous?
Because it's not for sale.
What would it take for you to want to become a part of the United States?
Nothing.
And why wouldn't you want to become part of the United States?
Maybe taxes, the healthcare system.
Greenland is very interesting because you guys are in the Arctic Circle and you guys are the largest island in the world, and you guys have the bridge between the United States, Canada, and Russia.
Yeah.
So do you think Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland in preparations if there's a World War III to break out?
Yeah, but the thing is, Greenland is a very peaceful place. I don't think it's fitting to get some weapons imported.
Okay, so that'd be kind of your fear, is that if Donald Trump were to buy Greenland, it might cause some tensions here in Greenland.
Yes, exactly.
What kind of tensions do you think? Can you elaborate on that?
Maybe we get aimed at from other countries.
What do you think about the United States buying Greenland?
No more Danish.
Why do you guys not like the Danish?
Liar.
How do you feel about being bought potentially by the United States?
I don't think we're going to be bought. Times have passed where you could buy other people in other states. You did that 100 years ago, not now.
So Greenland's not for sale?
No, definitely not.
Would that destroy NATO if Donald Trump went against Denmark and bought Greenland, and took over Greenland?
I don't know if it would destroy the NATO, but it would definitely change it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a completely new kind of situation, so yeah, no, I don't know that. What I like about this situation is that more people outside Greenland are taking Greenland serious now. and listening to what we want.
Yeah, because I think people are realizing it's a different time, different measures. War in Ukraine, Russia, you never know how far that could escalate. And I think that's why Donald Trump wants to get Greenland to protect the United States from those trading routes where they could come in with submarines and secretly somehow attack the United States or other countries.
But what you're essentially saying is that he wants to make Greenland the country where the bombs fall, or what? I mean, that's insane.
You're looking at it as if Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland so that if there was a war to break out, the attacks would happen on Greenland first.
Yeah, if so, maybe, I don't know, because you can switch that into saying you want war in Greenland or whatever. I don't think so, because I think this whole, I know Trump, he got really angry when the Prime Minister said that this thought was absurd, and that's because we use the word absurd in a different way in Danish. But I think it is absurd, because this is just not, you don't buy other people, you don't buy other countries. You cooperate with other countries, and that's it. It's not about Greenland being bombed or military in Greenland or whatever. Just, you know, in 2025, countries cooperate or they do not. They don't buy each other.
And now that your Prime Minister is ready to talk with Donald Trump, are you worried about the United States buying Greenland?
No, not at all. I'm 68 years old, so I'm not worried.
What do you and the majority of Greenlanders think about Donald Trump?
As a human being, he's a little bit crazy maybe, but he's the most powerful in the world next after Putin and China.
Do you think Vladimir Putin is more powerful than Donald Trump?
No.
So would you say Donald Trump's the most powerful man in the world?
Yeah, U.S. is the most powerful country in the world.
Is Greenland for sale?
No. See, we live here. Trump cannot buy Greenland.
What will you do if he does buy Greenland?
I will ask Trump if he can kayak on his own without help. If he can buy. If he can't, he don't buy.
So if the United States were to buy Greenland and you were able to get $20,000, would you do it?
I will not say yes for money.
That's such a strange demand. You know, if he can kayak on his own, then Greenland is all his. You know what? Fine, I don't care anymore. If he can kayak, that's great.
For Greenland or money, I will choose Greenland. We live in Greenland, he cannot buy this.
For $100,000, would you guys sell Greenland? If each citizen of Greenland got $100,000, would you sell your country?
Yes.
But you said Greenland is not for sale, but you'd sell it for $100,000.
Money is
$100,000 and he has to kayak. Greenland is all his. If he could prove that, we're good. I don't know if 100,000 would be enough. And what would that do to the economy? They have 57,000 plus people living in Greenland. To give every single one of them $100,000, I wonder what that would do to the U.S. economy. Then again, they would own Greenland at that point, but I don't know. Like, how much money is Greenland realistically bringing in as a nation?
It's money. The world boy will understand.
What do you think about Donald Trump in the United States buying Greenland?
Well, I don't know about buying, but I believe that there should be a better relationship with America, because I don't think our country is very... we don't talk with any other countries, really. We are kind of bound to Denmark. Yeah, I ain't sure about buying it.
Would you guys like to seek independence from Denmark and then become part of the United States?
I believe that at someday we should have independence, and that also means that we would have to mine and stuff. I don't believe we would be able to be self-sufficient with just fish.
Do you think it would be better for you guys to become part of the United States versus being part of Denmark?
Of course, there's some benefits to America. We would have way bigger military, and we would be safe from invasions in case of a war or something. If the Third World War comes, I don't know how much it would matter with all the nuclear weapons and stuff, but there would probably be some Russians coming from Greenland to go to America and stuff as a vantage point.
Your Prime Minister did say he's ready to talk with Donald Trump about the situation. What do you think that means?
I think he wants to negotiate in other ways than selling Greenland. We are open to the outside world, but we don't want to sell. We want to negotiate and make money in other ways other than Denmark, in export ways.
Now with the conflicts that are across the world with Ukraine, Russia, China, Russia, and their involvement together, and Greenland has a pivotal location as far as the trading routes for these ships and for these countries. Can you understand why Donald Trump would want to buy Greenland to protect the United States from Russia?
I really do. We are really placed we're well placed in the geopolitical meaning. We're placed in the middle of everything with Russia and USA on both sides. And I just think, of course I understand that he wants to buy us through the resources and the geopolitical way.
And China did try to build airports and give loans to Greenland, and they were trying to influence their way here into Greenland as well. Would you guys rather have influence of China or the United States here?
None, neither. I do think it's a brilliant idea that we do negotiate with other countries, but not in the way of being bought. No one can buy us, and Greenland is for the Greenlanders.
Are you worried about being invaded by the U.S. military, as Donald Trump did say? That's not off the record when he did have a press conference the other day.
Of course we are.
I don't want this to sound like a threat, but here there are 57,000 people.
Yeah.
And in the United States, our military is much larger than 57,000 people.
I know, but we are a part of Denmark, and Denmark is under NATO. And I'm sure in some way they will support us if it did happen, which I'm sure it won't.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want you guys to be invaded by any means. I don't want that to happen. I'm just throwing that out theoretically and to play devil's advocate with you guys. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
And what do you guys think is...
And that's what I mentioned as well. They only have 57,000 people, and obviously nobody wants them to be invaded. That's not what I'm getting at, but 57,000 people in the entire country, that's not very many at all. Regardless of if Denmark is tied to NATO and yada, yada, yada. It's not going to be invaded, and I don't think Trump is going to buy Greenland. I think people are kind of blowing everything out of proportion here. If anything, he invests more money into the military base that is already there. At the end, I don't know, maybe he buys the plot of land the military base is on. I don't know. But buying the country as a whole, I don't know about that one. Denmark said, fuck Greenland, people need to get real. Fair enough. So Denmark doesn't even want a part of them. All right, well, that's out the window. Greenland's screwed. All right, guys, Moose on the Loose video, and then I'm going to call it a stream.
How do we think that might look to the U.S.?
Kate Harrison, the voice of reason on the CBC.
With Donald Trump, I'm not going to predict anything because I have no idea.
I don't think it'll be viewed favorably.
There is no shortage of news, that's for sure. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today we've got a former CSIS national director asking permission to give his honest opinion because it goes against that of what is on CTV typically. This is a real thing that just happened. We also have Mark Carney getting shut down again on another floor crossing attempt. We have a ton of news here. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off from Canada Proud, we've got the Carney Liberals just changed advertising rules for the federal government. Advertisements over $250,000 no longer need to go through a review process. Of course they don't. Mark Carney gearing up for another election. Ads are now allowed to be self-congratulatory or self-praising in nature. Your tax dollars can now legally be used to push Liberal Party campaign slogans. And we've got this one on Mark Carney's account saying it was time to build this weekend with Lego. Thanks to Ambassador Harris for the gift. Solidarity with Denmark. What a great post. Build Canada strong. Is this what he meant by build Canada strong? This is embarrassing. Why post this? This offers nothing. It looks ridiculous. Moving ahead, we've got conservative Steve Bonk. He came out with that video, maybe it was like 2 weeks ago, showcasing Mark Carney and Brookfield, the slave labor, all that stuff, the deforestation of the rainforest. He is getting slammed, as it says here. His social media accounts have been targeted by AI spicy time bots ever since he released that documentary, and they're trying to get him shut down. They're trying to silence this conservative. He must have hit a nerve. You bet he did, because the mini doc was just that good. To the point, specific and damaging, all at the same time. Keep the pressure going. Moving ahead, we've got Conservative here has been approached by Mark Carney to cross the floor. And as you can see here, he says, over the past weeks, I've been approached by the Liberals and encouraged to cross the floor. I have firmly rejected their offer. I will always honor the trust my constituents of Brampton West have placed in me. I was elected to be their strong voice in Ottawa and remain fully committed to representing their values and priorities. I'm proud to stand with our leader, Pierre Poilievre, the next Prime Minister of Canada, and I will continue to fight for the priorities that matter most to the people I represent. I will continue to fight for safer streets and neighborhoods, jobs, affordable housing, secure borders, and stronger pay in a sovereign Canada. This is just beyond embarrassing. Mark Carney just keeps trying this nonsense. Instead of inspiring Canadians to want to vote for him, he just wants to cheat to win. This is going around here on X as well, and mainstream media not mentioning a word. Can't imagine why. Moving ahead, we've got Donald Trump here announcing he wants to make every AI data center get its own power from tech company instead of raising America's electricity bills. First up is Microsoft, who my team has been working with, which will make major changes beginning this week to ensure Americans don't pick up the tab for power consumption in the form of paying higher utility bills. We're the hottest country in the world, etc., etc. He's rolling out a lot of policy changes here. And we've also got Trump with this one, effective immediately. Any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America. This order is final and conclusive. Thank you for the attention on this matter. I don't know how many countries that are doing business with Iran are doing business with America. I'm sure there's some. I'm sure this is going to hurt Iran in some way. And speaking of Iran, America has issued this: leave Iran now. U.S. issues advisory for its citizens amidst arrest. In this advisory, the embassy said that the protests across Iran may turn violent. I mean, there's numerous people being ended. I believe there's up to 500 now is what they're saying, by the government itself, by the Ayatollah's regime. And they're urging U.S. citizens to take immediate precautions. The embassy advised citizens to consider leaving Iran by land to Armenia or Turkey. In other world news here, we've got this. This is wild. Out of the UK, we've got the proposed Chinese super embassy includes a secret basement room just a meter away from Britain's most sensitive communication cables. This is completely wild what's going on here. It looks like the British government is completely compromised by China. So you can see the secret room is here, and this is coming from the Telegraph. We also have Sam Cooper commenting on this here, saying, see the well done video in thread. Looks like Starmer will go against UK intelligence and allow the CCP mega embassy plausible tech spy base unless enough Brits make a stink. The Telegraph was able to uncover previously redacted parts of the Chinese blueprints. So you can see this black here is the redacted and unredacted is the rest. And here's a closer look at it here, the secret room. And then we've got the critical high-speed internet cable. As it said, it's just, you know, meters away from this. And then that's what this is here. So you've got this, the building here, the site of the new Chinese super embassy, and then the internet cable right there. And this further goes on to show here the fiber optic cable. It's only 1.7 meters. Demolition of existing wall and building of new wall and support. And then the secret room here in the basement. This is gnarly what's going on. They're even measuring it out on the street here. Now, with all this talk of the UK and China, now it's time to talk about Mark Carney and China. So this story that just broke yesterday, 2 Liberal MPs that were cut from Taiwan trip short ahead of Carney's visit to China, sending a message that they care more about China than they do about Taiwan. As Tablesalt pointing out, did Canada just choose the communist CCP over democratic state of Taiwan? Yes, Carney's Liberal government just did that. We got Andrew Coyne posting this, oh man, this is not good. The last thing Canada needs at this point is declarations of subservience to any dictatorship. And we've got NDP Jenny Kwan with this post on China. The Ho Commission was clear China and India are aggressively targeting Canada, yet Mark Carney's government implementation of Foreign Influence Transparency Act is too weak, too vague, and too slow. She goes on to mention why. Mark Carney's getting hammered from all sides here. The NDP really need to speed up their leadership race and start taking back some of those lefties to weaken Carney here. They get someone that's really inspiring for the lefties, this will be very good for the Conservatives. Moving ahead, we've got quite something here. So we've got a panel here. This guy is Guy St. Jacques, the former ambassador to China. We've got Richard Fadden. As we see, Richard Fadden, this guy is a Canadian former civil servant who was National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister. You can see on the side here, he was a director of CSIS. So with this in mind, we've got a former director of CSIS asking permission to have an opposite, or in this case, it's essentially a right-wing opinion on this whole situation with Carney pulling these 2 MPs from Taiwan.
Guy, I wanted to lean on your expertise as a long-time diplomat, because we did see something materialize today when it comes to sort of weaving through all of this diplomatically, and that is with Taiwan, right? China, of course, has a very specific position on Taiwan. Canada does not share that position officially. We had a delegation that was in China, including 2 Liberal MPs who decided to come home early because their presence there would have essentially been problematic for whatever message the Prime Minister is trying to deliver in China. The Conservatives who remain in Taiwan essentially say that's cowering to China, to an authoritarian government in China. What is your view on how that could be an example of how difficult this thing is going to be to navigate?
So just to make it clear, there's still Conservatives over in Taiwan. They refuse to leave, but Mark Carney pulled the Liberals from there to send a message to Xi Jinping.
Diplomatically.
Well, I think that was the right decision. It would have been difficult for the Prime Minister to explain the presence of Liberal MPs in Taipei while he was in Beijing, and I think you just have to remove as many potential problems at this stage to set the table to have more meaningful discussion. This being said, we need to continue to have contacts with Taiwan, to send a delegation there to business people, because it's...
This is what happens when Mark Carney tries to appease everybody. You can't actively build a relationship with China while trying to build one with Taiwan. China is literally conducting military drills all around it constantly. China does not like Taiwan. It's no secret. And it's backfiring. Every time he does something like this, it backfires. And he, most of the time, gets nothing out of it in the end anyway. He just makes himself look worse. He just goes for a photo op. If he goes to China and they, in some way, shape, or form, are able to strike a deal that day, like he's leaving today, so if he ends up there tomorrow or whatever, and during his visit, if he continues, or if they're able to strike this deal and continue to put off the U.S., it's going to be very eye-opening. It's going to be like, what the hell is he doing? He's demonizing the U.S. and running to a literal dictatorship in China. I doubt he's going to be able to strike a deal, but if they're working behind the scenes and they have something cooked up there, it's going to raise a lot of questions. Not good ones as well. All right? That's all I'm getting at. I don't think he's going to, because he's not intelligent. He's failed with the United States. China is not going to be easier. They just aren't. The people continue to forget that we have tariffs on us from China. Very damaging ones as well. But all we focus on is Orange Man bad. It's just wild. It's just crazy. Low IQ Carney. He is. He's supposed to have all this experience. He's supposed to be the most intelligent man in the world, the best man during a crisis, and he has failed in every aspect so far. Literally every one. There isn't one thing he's actually done that's a positive.
A country, in fact, where it is easier to do business than in China. And
this guy's contradicting himself. He's saying it's good that Carney did this. This was the right move, yet we should still send delegates to Taiwan because they're a democracy and China is a dictatorship. You can't make this stuff up.
And I think that the Prime Minister will want to address Taiwan when he meets with the Chinese leader. He will want to impress on them the importance of maintaining the status quo. Otherwise, there could be very difficult consequences for China, including sanctions.
Dick, the final word to you. As Canadians listen to this conversation and think about all the national securities that you and I have spoken about so frequently over the last number of years, and they may be asking themselves, like, is there a way to do what we just outlined and still preserve our national security, you know, vis-a-vis China? What is the, like, do you believe the ability exists, A, and B, how do you get there?
Just remember, this is the former director of CSIS saying this.
Yeah, I think the ability exists. And if it didn't exist, we would have to create it. We are either going to develop the capacity to protect our sovereignty in collaboration with our allies, or we're going to lose that sovereignty. I think we have to be very, very clear with China, what we're prepared to put up with and what we're not prepared to put up with. And I think one of the difficulties we've had with the previous administration, with Mr. Trudeau's government, is that we had a whole raft of issues and difficulties with China, and we didn't want to talk about it. I think we have to be more upfront, publicly and make sure that both the Canadian population and China understands that. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to disagree with Guy on a small point. I think it was a mistake for those two MPs to leave Taiwan.
You hear that? I hope you don't mind. I'm going to disagree with Guy on one point. He's asking for permission on national television to have a right-wing opinion on here. That's essentially what he's doing here.
I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to disagree with Guy on a small point. I think it was a mistake for those two MPs to leave Taiwan. We have a one China policy, and whatever we can say about the Chinese, they are not stupid. They understand it perfectly well. And I think they know well that MPs and officials and members of the media visit Taiwan all the time. And we're removing them, I think, risks giving the impression that we're a little bit scared about the upcoming meeting with the Prime Minister. So while Guy is a much bigger, better diplomat than I am, I would argue in this case, it would have been better for them to stay and for the Prime Minister to simply say it's consistent with the policy that we've had for the last decade.
This account here cut off one piece which was important. I usually preview this stuff when I'm out for a walk or a hike. Here's the end that wasn't cut off.
We say it's consistent with the policy that we've had for the last decade.
I'm going to leave it on that note. We welcome all views on this show. Thanks for sharing yours tonight, everybody. Thanks for your...
We welcome all views on this show. Like Vasi had...
What? What? No, they don't. No, they don't. They're just as bad as the CBC. Holy Christ. Just because you have a conservative on your show every once in a while doesn't mean you're... Oh my god, man. Are they supposed to be the news, or are they just stand-up comedians? Because I don't know at this point. Half the stuff these people spew, it's just insane.
Had to clarify that you're allowed to have a right-wing opinion on here. So over on CBC, the nonsense here is exactly what you'd expect. Painting a picture that this is a good thing that they pulled back these MPs from Taiwan and we need to appease China.
Rob, I hadn't considered it the way Brad just described it, as a gesture, right? Rather than risk mitigation, it's maybe something, as he sees it, designed to appease Beijing. I mean, it speaks to the complexity of this whole trip and the various components to it.
I think it's also a reflection of the reality that Canada has guardrails in terms of its relationship with China. China clearly has guardrails in terms of its relationship with Canada. And when it comes to human rights, when it comes to Taiwan, those guardrails are very, very narrow for Canada. It also, I think, reflects the fact that this is just the beginning of a reset in the relationship between the two countries, and that is embryonic and remains fragile.
Jumping ahead in this panel, we've got Kate Harrison dropping some serious truth bombs, talking about human rights violations in China.
Kate, last word on this, about this balancing act of values and value that we're kind of seeing on display with the China trip.
I think it's important to keep in mind that the human rights abuses that occur with China do not stop at Chinese borders. China and Russia, according to the NORAD commander, are regularly more actively buzzing our north. China has interfered in Canadian elections. There is more to be considered here than the plight of the Uyghurs, so that is also something that we should be preoccupied with. The reality is that we would not be entertaining this conversation with China if the Prime Minister had actually followed through on his promise to deliver a new economic and security partnership with the United States. Now we're backed into a corner of having friends in China and Qatar because we failed to secure the most important trade relationship that we have.
Right. Well, the U.S.
Wow, that's a mic drop right there. And listen to David Cochrane here try to clap back.
Do we think the U.S. is a relationship that we have?
Right. Well, the U.S. plays a role in that too, though, Kate. Like, let's be fair.
How do we think the U.S. is going to respond to pulling back from Taiwan?
Well,
how do we think that might look to the U.S.?
With Donald Trump, I'm not going to predict anything because I have no idea.
I don't think it'll be viewed favorably.
Ouch. David Cochrane trying his best to get a little jab in on Trump there. If you look at this nonsense they put on here all day, every day, it's just attacking Trump.
David Cochrane, he speaks, you look at him, and you go, okay, little Billy. And that's all you do. Because he makes no sense ever. The spin tactics, the manipulation, the gaslighting, as people like to say, he's terrible. He's not a journalist. He's just not. Him and Rosemary Barton, and there's many others, they are not journalists. They are just peddlers of propaganda. And David Cochrane, it's embarrassing. It really is, whenever you watch his show. It's tough to get through his show as well. The opinions on there are some of the wackiest things you'll ever hear. The CBC in general, it needs to be defunded. Taxpayer dollars should not be going towards this insanity constantly.
Over and over. And if there's something on Poilievre, they can attack him, then they're attacking him too. Moving ahead here with Mark Carney going over to China, we're seeing this.
Or they'll make it about Poilievre when it has nothing to do with him. Like I said, they will spin the narrative completely in order to fit what they need to say. And that's where you get these moments that just make no sense at all. And it happens a lot on that show.
On the news, Taiwanese official warns Carney boosting ties with China will leave Canada vulnerable. After going to China, Mark Carney will stop off at Qatar, and then he's going to be going to Davos, to the WF, and who's going to be speaking there? It's none other than Captain Schmuck. Cash in some money there at the WF. Trudeau to headline Davos Soft Power Summit as global elites meet for WF. This is so preposterous. Trudeau taking a week out of his busy life of vacationing on yachts to go speak at the World Economic Forum. So jumping over to CTV here, we got James Moore talking on this relationship here with Xi Jinping in China.
Realistic expectations for this trip. We talked about, the tariffs and the back and forth, and we've been running a story as well about how much this is hurting canola farmers in particular in this country. What are you expecting for these next couple of days as the Prime Minister heads to China?
I think immediate deliverables, none, but that doesn't mean this isn't going to be a very significant trip. This is an important trip. In the face of Donald Trump and in face of calendar 2026, where we're going to have a re-examination of the Canada, U.S., Mexico free trade agreement, I think it's important to, frankly, kickstart not only a relationship within China, because it's been more than 4 years now since the two Michaels have been released. It's been almost 9 years since Prime Minister Trudeau was last in China. So to sort of refresh the relationship with Beijing, with Xi Jinping, I think is important on some practical issues like the access to canola and some specific commodities that we want to get into the Chinese marketplace.
I would honestly rather we just fixed our relationship with the U.S. I really am not a fan of what goes on over in China at all. I don't like the leadership. I don't like the ideals. I don't like anything about it. The people there, I'm sure they're fine and nice, but at least some of them, I just don't like it at all. And I would rather we fix that. I would rather we even work with the UK a little bit more than China. But even then, I would rather we work with the country we're literally fucking attached to. I don't know. Is it that difficult at this point that we have to run to a dictatorship to try and fix things? It's a dictatorship that we haven't even had ties with in over 8 years now. I don't know, man. And with Kuzma coming up as well, holy crap, it's going to be a shit show this year. If we don't head into an election and the Liberals stick around, or if we head into an election and the Liberals stick around, oh boy. Oh boy.
But also, I think it's most important to kickstart a conversation here in Canada with informed media amongst Canadians in legislatures, in Parliament. A lot of people say we need to diversify our markets beyond the United States. Well, this is part of what that looks like. And it brings up some old questions about the reliability of the Chinese market, but also brings up some new questions like, if we're going to sell more to China in a reliable way, what does that mean for the future of the Canada-U.S. relationship if the Americans start getting anxious about the transshipment of goods from China into the United States via Canada through the current free trade agreement? So all of that needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about openly and discussed pragmatically and frankly amongst all stakeholders and all governments to get a sense of the new world that we're going into as a consequence of Donald Trump and the America First isolationist movement. What does that mean in terms of our opportunities around the world? And that's part, I think, what this trip is about, and what the Prime Minister wants to inspire is more debate within Canada about our relationship with China.
And it feels like the only thing Mark Carney wants to inspire is his ability to enrich his shares in Brookfield. Like, that's what he's going there to talk about China with. Whatever him and Bruce Flatt and all the directors at Brookfield and what they've got conjured up there, how to push more money over into Canadian pension funds, into the Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1 to increase his carried interest he gets at the end of the day. This is all about net zero. Are they going to talk about canola? Probably he'll spend 5-10 minutes on it. Then he'll move on to more important issues like Brookfield. But really, whatever Carney comes back with will tell us a lot. not.
That's what Mark Carney has been doing, right? We talk about, outside of the value base that Justin Trudeau really did focus on, would not necessarily do business with countries that had human rights concerns or otherwise. And this has been a testy relationship between Canada and China. The accusations of foreign interference as well that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. But it really is going to be a reliance on these countries and elsewhere around the world that Canada is going to need, as you talked about, with that diversification.
The key, you took the word, right? Diversification is the ultimate goal, and that's the ultimate dream. More than 95% of our energy exports go straight to the United States. So if you do have a good relationship with China, or good relations more broadly across the Asia Pacific as a possible destination for Canadian energy products, that's very good for Canada. China alone would purchase every drop of liquefied natural gas that would come out of Canada. That was part of the major projects initiative that the Prime Minister announced. The LNG industry has been wanting certainty about more export markets, and it also might provide a little bit more energy and a little more impetus behind the need behind the MOU between the government of Alberta and the government of Canada to see if you can find some genuine economic, Indigenous, and industry reconciliation to get another pipeline to the west coast of Canada, so that you might have another energy market beyond the United States to sell Canadian commodities. Look,
I mean, that's what we should be doing. Like, they want to buy all our LNG. We should be shipping it over there. Mark Carney is supposed to be Mr. Net Zero, where the environment comes first. It's all about getting to net zero. So you would think he would support selling more LNG to China and getting them off their coal. How much have you really heard him talk about that? Almost none. And what is one of the first things he does in his first budget is he cuts the 2 billion tree program. This is Mr. Net Zero cutting the tree program. Eventually Canadians will figure it out. This is all about money, and if nothing comes from these
I would love to think that as well, but will the country figure that out? I don't know. Might take a generation or two, to be honest with you. There's still a lot of people that are fully involved in this grift, that are fully paying into it, believe in it, vote for it, swallow the lies, the narratives, the manipulation. And the thing is, all it takes is another generation to go to university or college, and they'll just teach them the exact same things. That's where a majority of that stuff comes from. So, I don't know, man. I would like to think that, but I don't know. With the Bloc Québécois being anti-oil and gas, the NDP anti-oil and gas, the Liberals, they all hate it, and they have a spread through the entire country. And so do the Conservatives, but they're outnumbered in terms of parties in opposition. Just saying. They need the majority. They need the majority. They just do.
Meetings, he knows at least he'll piss off Donald Trump, which is exactly what he needs for the next election. I'm not exactly sure if Carney's going to flip-flop and actually try to push forward a pipeline to work further a deal with China, but making sure that carbon capture gets attached to it so he can hitch that wagon there and still push his carbon credit agenda. He might have to pivot here because he knows what he's doing isn't working. He's starting to lose popularity in the polls. The shiny new sheen is worn off, and people realize that he's just a greedy banker. I would still be shocked to see him approve a pipeline, but I mean, anything's possible at this point.
Canada, from the Hudson Bay Company through fur trading to the FTA with the United States to NAFTA to the Canada-Europe Free Trade Agreement, Canada has always been and always will be a trading nation. Our standard of living is dependent on creating Canadian jobs through world sales, breaking open foreign markets, and building trade relationships, because the Canadian market alone internally, it's not big enough to sustain the quality of life, the social programs that we expect, and the standard of living that Canadians demand. So we have to sell to the rest of the world. Part of that is going to have to be China. China is our second largest trading partner. With it comes all kinds of asterisks and risks, not only for Canada, but also for the Canada-US relationship. So it's important to have this debate kickstarted. And Prime Minister Carney, to your original question, will there be some clear deliverables out of this trip? Probably not. Will it create some momentum towards further conversations between the governments? Probably. But most importantly, we need to have this dialogue within Canada about trade diversification and what it really looks like and the trade-offs that we have to make.
I mean, if Carney really wanted to show himself as a leader, he would come back with actual deals and show that they're moving forward with something, but he's not going to. Because once again, the Mark Carney show is all about himself. Will Carney ask Xi to stop using our country as a money laundromat? Who knows? Will he also crack down on...
We literally have a Chinese police station in Toronto. You want to talk about interference. They literally are here with their own police force in Toronto. I'm not making this up. Chinese police station, Toronto. And there's multiple of them, not just in Toronto. They're fucking all over, apparently. So, yeah, absolutely insane. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's lovely live stream. I don't know what happened earlier where we briefly lost connection, but everything seemed to fix itself and smoothen out, or whatever the hell you want to say. Thank you for watching on YouTube, Rumble, and Kick, and I will be potentially live tomorrow, depending on what happens. Honestly, I've been a little bit checked out on the news of recent because of I don't know, I have no interest in covering the ICE shooting. I have no interest in covering a lot of the United States politics, and in terms of Canada, there's not really too much going on. Mark Carney is flying around to country and just destroying Canada even further on his net zero agenda, by the way, in his massive jet. So yeah. Anyway, have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are from. Adios, everyone.
For the last decade.
This account here cut off one piece which was important. I usually preview this stuff when I'm out for a walk or a hike. Here's the end that wasn't cut off.
We say it's consistent with the policy that we've had for the last decade.
I'm going to leave it on that note. We welcome all views on this show. Thanks for sharing yours tonight, everybody. Thanks for your